We're here in solidarity with both the Catalans and the Kurdish people from Cymru. So it's a Catalan-Kurdish-Cymru solidarity meeting. We've decided to combine the two because the same struggles are happening in both countries. These are fights for democracy, for self-determination, but also against fascism. Without further ado, I'm going to quickly introduce you to Carrie Harper, who's going to talk about the Catalan situation.
Hello everyone, we haven't got the weather on our side, have we, unfortunately? But despite that, it's still so important to show solidarity to other nations, to nations that are being oppressed around the world, and particularly so when those nations are on your own doorstep, because it's quite unbelievable that in 2019 we've got political prisoners in Europe, but democratically seeking self-determination, seeking independence, in the eyes of Spain at least, is a criminal offence. And it's one that's cost 9 Catalan leaders their freedom. Earlier this month, 9 Catalan politicians and activists were given jail sentences of between 9 and 13 years each, simply for seeking democratic expression for their people and for declaring independence for their nation following a referendum. Spain's reaction to that, politically and through the judicial system, has been an act of vengeance by the Spanish state that echoes back to Franco. Now, the acts of violence inflicted on the people of Catalonia by the Spanish police, on ordinary people who've been protesting, have been sickening. I've seen videos on my news feed of young women being thrown to the ground, of old men being beaten up, of people being struck indiscriminately by the police for protesting. And this thuggish and violent behaviour is disgusting, and it should be condemned by everybody who believes in democracy. Now, Spain's actions in criminalising Catalonia's elected leaders breach the EU's founding values, and to the Spanish state I will say this: you can put people behind bars, but you cannot imprison the desire for freedom, and the world is watching. I
also would be remiss not to mention the name of Tom Spine when we talk about Catalonia and the fight against fascism. In the 1930s, Tom Spine left here to go and fight against Franco's fascists, and we're seeing history repeat itself again. I also want to mention the Kurdish struggle, because we're seeing a similar situation there, where the Kurds who fought against Saddam, fought against Assad, fought against ISIS, and have now been abandoned by the Western states. They've been abandoned by Trump, left to their own devices. They have had support from the West in the form of international brigaders, volunteers who've gone out there to fight, and it's criminal and shameful that one of those people has been jailed just this week for 8 years for fighting ISIS. He should be treated in the same way as Tom Spine is treated, as a local hero. He should be treated in the way that we would expect anyone fighting fascism and fighting ISIS to be treated. It's a disgrace and it's a shame on the British judicial system, and what's happening in Catalonia is a disgrace on the European Union. I think it's an absolute crying shame that we're not getting better served by our politicians.